Hey guys, Lexi here. I decided to start a beauty channel because my love for makeup has grown immaculately in the past year or so. So this is my first video. If you want to get this look, just keep on watching, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye!
Alright, so I'm starting off with priming my eyes with my MAC Painterly Paint Pot in the shade Soft Ochre. I'm using my MAC concealer brush just to pack this primer all over the lid.
Time is barely on our side.
I'm taking the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette and using the shade Strange, which I'll use to set my eye primer. And the brush I'm using here is just the brush that came with the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. Next, I'll apply my transition shade, which I'm using a shade that I forgot the name, which I will list down below, out of a Too Faced palette that I got in one of their holiday gift sets. I'm just going to use a fluffy blending brush from Morphe's Gunmetal collection to just apply that transition shade into the crease. Going back into the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette, I'm going to use the shade Limit just to deepen up the crease a little bit more. I wanted the crease to turn out a little bit darker and more deep, so I went back into the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette and I used the shade Nooner, which is a nice dark mauve pink color.
I don't wanna miss a beat, and on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun.
I'm taking a Morphe M169 small crease brush, and going back into the palette, I'll be using the more brown shimmery colors just to give the crease a little more definition. Taking that Morphe brush from the Gunmetal collection with no excess product, I'm just going back in and blending out all those harsh lines and edges. I'm taking the brush the Naked 3 palette came with and spritzing it with MAC's Fix Plus makeup setting spray just to dampen the brush, since I am going back into the palette to be using those rose gold glittery shimmery shades. In this palette, the rose gold pink shimmery shades do have a lot of fallout, so using that MAC Fix Plus makeup setting spray will really help it keep packed on your eyelid and help it from not creating more fallout than needed. The shimmery shades I'm using to pack on the eyelids are in the shade Dust and Burnout. Dust, I think, is the shade in this palette that has the most fallout. I'm really trying to build the pigmentation in these shimmery shades, so I went back once more and spritzed my brush with the MAC's Fix Plus makeup setting spray, and I am using my MAC concealer brush. I wanted to accomplish more of a smoky eye look, so I took the darkest shades in the palette, which are the last two shades, to get that look. And here I'm just showing you the two darkest colors that I used. It's really important to go back after every step to blend out those harsh lines, just so everything works together smoothly. I applied eyeliner and false eyelashes off camera because I didn't seem to be in focus. Now I'm applying Maybelline face primer to prime my face. My skin is very sensitive and dry, so this primer works really well by keeping it hydrated all day. The foundation I use is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation Stick. Usually I would steer away from a foundation like this, but with my dry skin it's really hard for me to find a foundation that doesn't stick to my dry patches. This one honestly keeps my skin so hydrated and does not feel cakey at all. With the very popular Morphe M439 brush, I'm just going to buff that into my skin so it all looks nice and even. I don't have my lighting situation figured out, so it may look like this foundation washes out my face, but I promise that it really does match. To conceal under my eyes, I'm using the Nars Creamy Radiant Concealer in the shade Vanilla. I have used / tried a billion different concealers, and this one seems to work the absolute best. The main places I like to conceal are under my eyes, on the bridge of my nose, the center of my forehead, my cupid's bow, and also on my chin, just to brighten up the center of the face. To brighten up my under eyes a little bit more, I like to use this Revlon concealer in their lightest shade. It's really thick and creamy, so it does crease a lot on me, so I do not like to use it by itself, but I'll use a couple dots here and there over my Nars concealer. I like to dampen my beauty blender with Fix Plus just to pick up any extra product. Since most concealers crease on me, I take the Mercier translucent setting powder just to set that concealer to hold it in place so it stays all day without creasing. To set the rest of the face, I use a MAC foundation compact powder with a really big fluffy Morphe brush.
I'm wasted, my heart grows heavy. Don't taste me rushing and keep your words naked. You got me blushing.
I like to warm up the face with one of my favorite bronzers by MAC in the shade Bronze, and I just put those on my cheeks and the temples of my forehead. I like to use the Kat Von D shade Light palette to contour, and the middle shade is the shade that mostly works for my skin tone. And contouring, I use this fan brush that's also kind of like a dual fiber brush from Morphe. So it does a really good job chiseling out those hollows of the cheeks as well as blending it out. Using the Urban Decay blush palette that Gwen Stafani created that has 6 beautiful shades. 3 are shimmery and 3 are matte shades. I'm using a Wet n Wild flat top brush just to blend out the blush so it's not as harsh and pigmented. I wanted a more chiseled contour look, so I used the baking method and set my translucent setting powder underneath my contour and just set it there for a few minutes while I finished highlighting. I'm using the Becca Cosmetics highlighting palette and mixing Champagne Pop in the white highlight color just to get a nice glow on the cheekbones.
My mind faded, my body wasted. What we created,
I'm using whatever was left over on my small crease brush from using the Naked 3 palette just to darken up the under eye area. For mascara, I'm using my all-time favorite by Too Faced called the Better Than Sex Mascara. My eyelashes are thankfully really long, but I need a mascara that makes them a bit more full, and this mascara definitely does the job. Alright guys, that is it for this tutorial. I want to thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe. Bye!